Good evening. We are making a very small pork roast. It's only about 2 pounds for dinner, along with some black beans and rice. A little nod to my way back South Florida roots. Um, I rinsed the pork roast off and I've dried it well with a paper towel. Always dry your meat before you brown it in a pan. Add a little bit of olive oil to my skillet because we're going to brown this. Uh, it's pretty hot already. I have dusted this with a little salt, pepper, garlic powder, and a little bit of poultry seasoning. I know you may think that's weird, but poultry seasoning is really good with pork and it does not make it taste like Thanksgiving dinner. I'm going to put it in the pan, fat side down first, and season the other side. And what we're going to do is just brown this on both sides. And while that's happening, I'm going to get ready for the next step. Nice and brown on that side, we just flipped it over. Now, after we do this, we're going to take it out of this pan and brush it with some Dijon mustard. After we do that, we're going to roll it in onion crisps that have been completely crushed. Here it is with Dijon mustard slathered all over it. Now we're going to roll it in that oniony goodness. There it is, all nicely coated in the pan, foil underneath it. The reason why is because I want to put some chicken stock in the bottom of that pan, and I'm going to cover this with foil to keep moisture in, and I'm going to basically tent this pork loin with foil. I don't want it in the chicken broth because I don't want to lose that crispy coating. But yet I want that chicken broth to help steam it, keep the meat nice and moist while it's in the oven. We're going into a 350 degree oven. I'm going to double check the internal temperature, but I think it needs to be about 145. I'll confirm that in a minute. I have to remember. And so anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes. After 40 minutes, we'll check it. Okay, as our sides, we are using yellow rice, which I love. I'm doing 2 packs of this because my son loves it and I always have to make extra. I used chicken broth according to the package directions and a little bit of olive oil, just like what it calls for. It may actually call for water. I don't ever use water when I can use something else with more flavoring. We talked about that. Then I'm going to use a can, yes I can, of black beans. I'm having trouble getting my focus here. In my pan, I have got 1/2 to 3/4 of a yellow bell pepper, 1/2 a small onion, and for the seasonings we have 1/2 a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1/2 a teaspoon of thyme leaves, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cumin, and I think I said garlic powder. There's that in there too, about a 1/2 teaspoon. I don't salt it. I don't salt these type of beans. Especially because I'm going to use them in their juice. I'm just going to let those veggies cook down a little bit. But I'm going to use them in the water that they were packed in, and that already has salt in it. Plus, I think that it makes the skin on the beans tough. So while I get this stuff cooking and our pork is in the oven, I'll check back with you. Okay, the chicken stock came to a boil. I added in the rice. I always add on packaged rice a little bit more liquid than it calls for, at least 1/4 cup, because I don't like the rice al dente. I like it cooked. I don't like it mushy, but I like it cooked. So I don't want rice to be crunchy, so I always add a little extra liquid. We're going to put the lid on this, turn it down, and let it cook for approximately 20 minutes or so. Probably more like 25 to 26. As you can see, our vegetables are softening up nicely, and our beans are going to go in the pan. I'm going to grab a bay leaf to put in this rice, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're getting ready to add our beans to the pan. We're going to mix that all around. And the last thing I did was I put in the juice of about 1/4 of a lime. We're going to stir these around till they're nicely coated. I turned them down from where I was sauteing the vegetables, and we're just going to let them hang out and cook on a low heat till they're heated through and they have great flavor from the veg that we put in there and the lime juice and all those seasonings. So we're just going to let those cook until our pork is out of the oven. Our beans are simmering away at a nice low bubble. Our rice is still cooking. I did take the lid off and give it a stir, and it's nowhere near done. Now I will want these beans to thicken a little bit, so I'll just take the back of my spoon and mash just a few of them and stir that around, and that will make a thicker soup or broth, if you will, on the beans. Just like you do if you were making soup beans. We always do that. Just take some when they're near the end and just mash them around to thicken your soup or broth. Well, here's our pork roast, fresh out of the oven, cooked to a perfect 160 degrees. I think I said 140 before. That's for rare to medium rare. I don't cook my pork that rare. I like it more done than that. That's the reason for the moisture in there. I uncovered the foil off of it and about 20 minutes before I took it out of the oven and let it start browning, which I think it looks beautiful. I am going to put it on a platter out of this hot pan and let it rest for about 5 to 10 minutes before I cut it so that the juices can redistribute, and I'll start plating up the sides. Here you go. After letting it rest for a few minutes, you can see it is well done inside, cooked through, not pink, and super moist. And there's a little bit of extra broth in that pan, which I'm going to spoon over it when I plate it up. And there we go. The juicy, beautiful sliced pork, black beans with the veg in it, and a little lime's juice, and lots of spices. Yellow rice, which we cooked with chicken stock and a bay leaf. Ready to go. This plate's going to my mama. Gonna plate up for everybody else. You all have a great evening.